We good? I'm confused. Am I good? Yes, sir. All right. It was good. I thought it was a good spring game or showcase. Sorry. Woo. Good spring showcase. It was really enjoyed getting a chance to have our fans back in Doak Campbell. It was really good atmosphere. Great to see a lot of our players. We had 20 guys. It was the first time that they got a chance to go out. Obviously some newcomers that are still going through the process of rehabilitation from off-season injuries, but really excited about the work and competitiveness I'm seeing from this team. I thought today really showed some flashes on both sides. Some good things that showed up. Some young guys that got a chance to get out there and showcase a variety of different talents and areas that they've grown in their game. So older veterans put on at a high level. So I thought it was a good day. And there was times where the defense had great sequences of getting stops, and then offense responded and was able to create some explosives and able to move the ball down the field. And I just thought it was a competitive day, and I think we're continuing to get better. So I like what I saw.
You've talked about Kentron having a really good spring, but to see him do it on that stage, in the stadium, how good was that? And you seem to be really excited by one of his blocks as well as the catches.
Yeah, and Kentron, he's made big plays in big games, and so he's done that. And what I like is the consistency that I'm seeing, from that. And we knew when he got here that he was very talented. Kind of a unique situation. He only played 1 year. There's 1 year high school football. Really had to come into his own, and you see just the development, the growth. And it's a great job by him, putting in the work. A great job by Coach Dugans and the overall development, of him. But you can see he's a well-rounded player too. And with Johnny not going today, I was excited to see where Kentron would go with that moment. And he definitely did not disappoint. And it wasn't just with the ball in his hands. I think it was Rodney, one of Rodney's touchdowns. I believe it was Rodney. He's 30 yards down the field with a big block that helped spring the touchdown. And so I love seeing that type of effort and just growth from all individuals. But I think he's really setting himself up to have a good season, and excited what he's going to be able to do to continue to impact this team.
Stay on that road for Matt Baker.
Hey, Mike. Rodney Hill had a couple scores today. What did you see from him, and what have you kind of seen the most growth from him this spring?
Yeah, just confidence. Understanding where to be. Obviously the finer details of how to do it, and then he's letting his playmaking ability take over. And I was really happy. He caught one on the touchdown catch. Rodney's hard on himself, and he really he approaches the game the way it should be approached, and he wants to be great. He wants every play to be great. And actually in Thursday's practice, there was a play at the end of practice where he missed an opportunity, and you let a pass kind of get away from him. That. In a big moment, and he was really upset about it afterwards. And I talked to him that night, and he said, "Coach, I have to make that play." And it was the same play that he came back today and was able to make an over the shoulder, really nice touchdown catch with it. And I was just like, that's what you want to see. And he's very young, a redshirt freshman. He's still got a lot in front of him. But when you approach each rep the way he does, and you take the ownership. It's not all going to be perfect. There's going to be good and bad that shows up throughout the journey. But he's really a remarkable young man, and just excited about what his future is going to hold. And he's showing that he's going to be able to help us at a very high level, which what we fully expected coming into this year.
Kalyn DeLoach had 2 takeaways, possibly could have been for scores, I guess, if it was live action. What did you see from today and just generally this entire spring?
Yeah, Kalyn's a guy that he's got to be one of those heartbeats for us, and he's been here since we came through the door as a coaching staff. probably as much growth from a young man from that first day to where he is now, just in all things. I mean, his attitude, his approach, if he's not exceptional on a day, it really shows up. Like if he's not bringing that type of intensity, because that's just who he is. And I thought it was great today to see him get a couple takeaways. To be able to, both in good situations. One on interception, one on a when the ball got to the ground. Just being around the ball, being active, being physical. I think he's put himself in position to have a really good year upcoming, and we need him to. Because he definitely is somebody that a team can feed off of, and obviously his energy and explosiveness. I mean, just a really good playmaker.
Right next week, Chris Neal, front row to your right.
What did you think of the performance of the 4 quarterbacks, and especially Brock doing it in front of the biggest audience he's ever dealt with?
Yeah, I think it was good. I mean, I think there was good, and there were some plays that are very teachable moments for all four of them, and I thought they did a good job of responding. There was Brock had a series where he missed a couple throws early. I was glad to see him come back at the end and have that touchdown drive, and not to let it go the other way. And even AJ, there was a series that I thought he was just a little hesitant in some of the decision making, and to be able to come back, and I thought he had a really good drive at the end as well. So I'm really pleased with the growth in that room. There's a lot of competition. I think Tate has done a great job continuing to push to take another step, and I know I've talked about it all year, and Jordan, he's really working to improve, and even today it was not perfect, and there was things that he knows in the moment of where it could be better, and things that he knows where he can even be more efficient. But I mean, like the throw to Kentron, the rhythm and timing on that, it was beautiful. Getting to stand right behind it. I mean, you couldn't have placed the ball any better. It was well before Tron even came out of his break that the ball's in air, and it's what you want to see, and that type of control, command, and confidence is something that's going to be big for us, and all those guys are pushing for it.
We'll come here to Kyle, and then Brock to your left.
Coach, so much of the spring you've talked about the word better and these guys getting better each and every day. Was today another step in that right direction of seeing these guys do that?
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, I think defensively, our defensive front, we want that to be a forcing unit. And I mean, you saw some great opportunities where they were making things really challenging to be able to run the ball in some spots. You see guys that are flying around. It's the way they were attacking, and being able to create some pressure, I mean, was really good. We have some newcomers there on the offensive line, some guys that are experienced. Tried to hold Maurice and Darius didn't get a whole lot of work today, and obviously Rob's out, so we have a lot of new faces that were working with the offensive line. But this is a great film, great opportunity for those guys to see, to learn, to continue to push in the efficiency and execution for us. And but I think we've improved. And we're going to have an unbelievable summer. We're going to have a great fall camp, but I've got a lot of confidence that this team will continue to invest for what they're capable of doing, and that's just continuing to get better.
Stay over here for Essen.
Yeah, Coach. You guys had the spring showcase today. Then you have one more practice Monday. Was that just your plan? Like, what do you want to get out of the showcase to take the Monday's practice?
No, I mean, ideally I'd love to do that every year, because it's so many years in my coaching career coming up. You would have the spring game, spring showcase in our situation, but you would have that opportunity, and then coaches get on the road, and it's just all the things with recruiting, and so you would really miss out on a chance to go through and really get some of those finer details of teaching, and then just getting back on the field and having that fundamental approach with special teams. We'll be able to go through some variations of look and preparation of things that you might see, some things that maybe offensively our defense wasn't maybe didn't get to see as much of, or want to continue to work, or vice versa. Offensively getting different defensive looks. We do a lot, so it's a lot of not a ton that we need to really work that much extra on, but it is about the finer details, and anything that has been maybe a reoccurring issue in spring, to kind of clean that up and help guys understand the expectation for when they're out there, and it's player-led opportunities in the summer, then what they can do. And the great thing is with some of the rule changes and what we're able to do with meetings and being around our guys. I mean, it definitely helps so much.
Looking at the bigger picture, I think you knew a lot about this team coming in the spring. A lot of guys have played a lot of football for you over the last 3 years. Do you learn anything about this team this spring?
I mean, I thought they worked, and I know they. I mean, it's one thing. We have to have an edge. I mean, it's critical. It's absolutely critical. That's what this team's built on. It's built on that edge of work, of toughness, physicality, of going out and getting better, and that's where when people don't think you're worth a crap, it's not hard to have an edge. When people start telling you that they think you're pretty good, you got to maintain that focus and that drive of self improvement and blocking out all the things that all the things you didn't listen to a year ago. You talk about, well, you don't need to listen to them now, and it's truly about leaving the field every day or leaving the weight room or the classroom and say, man, did I give my best and did I get better? And if you can achieve that, I mean, you got a chance. And I think this team, it is more player-led than any team that we've had, and that's what it should be. I want to be coach inspired. I want our coaches to make sure that we're teaching, we're inspiring these guys, we're pushing them and showing them all the things that they can do. But I want the players to have the ownership of taking the reins and making sure that the standard is showing up on a daily basis.
New uniforms were unveiled towards the end of the showcase. Reaction seemed pretty positive on Twitter, which is hard to do to have that universally. How much input did you have in that? And I guess what's that mean for the program to have that step forward?
No, I mean, it's great, and it's something it is something that we've definitely discussed. Jason Baisden, is remarkable. Our partnership with Nike and just the collaboration. Our athletic department. We work together through it. I love the traditional, look that it shows, but also, with the representing the Seminole tribe and keeping that a part of what we're doing, and making sure that still has its a strong place in the uniform, but still getting back to that classic Florida State. That's so well appreciated, and I think it's a great looking uniform. I think they've done a wonderful job, and excited to see our guys wearing it here this fall.
Last one will be Ira.
It's not really related to the game today, but the portal calendar, I guess, opens back up again now for a couple weeks. Is that something? Do you like the fact that like this, where it is, falls now on the calendar, and how does it change your guys' approach? Do you have to have kind of new exit meetings again to just make sure where everybody's on the same page, or how do you handle it?
We're gonna have we'll have exit meetings, and being able to that's been something that in the last few years I've tried to have, is that we'll have that practice. We'll also have meetings that are surrounding that with position coaches. Next week I'll have or the following week I'll have all my head coach exit meetings with each player. I think it's always good to be able to get an understanding of where guys are, the things that need to be continue to be improved on, and be able to go from there. And it's always great to get the feedback of the players' perspective, and then just our perspective for them as well. And so in the day of age of the transfer portal and opportunities, I'm sure that it'll be interesting across the country. But it's I really like where we are, and I like this group that we have, and it'll be good conversations for us to have as individuals and as a team.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Thank you, guys.
This is for both of you guys as veterans and leaders. Coach talks about wanting a player-led team. How have you seen that transform since last season wrap versus where you are today?
I would just say there's a lot of guys with a lot of experience. I feel like leadership comes from experiences and what you go through throughout your career. And obviously, we have guys that have been here for 5-6 years, like me. It's time to take that next step and lead the guys and show the younger guys how to treat practice, how to treat people in life, how to treat classrooms, everything. Yes, sir.
I think it's definitely that. You know, when the older guys on the team kind of set a standard, the younger guys have to live by it. When the young guys live by it, you're only as strong as your weakest link. When everybody, you know, on the team that's not making an immediate impact on the field is following that standard, it only brings your whole team up.
Jordan, how much fun has it been watching the younger quarterbacks and getting to see them play in the stadium today? I mean, not just Brock, but Tate's not a young guy, but just all three of those guys.
Yes, sir. I've always loved watching those guys grow every single day. I get so much joy out of it, competing with them every single day and being able to walk off the field and know that they're my brothers. But yeah, it's really special, really, really special. Those guys have been improving every single day, not just on the football field, but in life. See them taking the next step, which is important.
Yeah, Jared, Byron Turner had a sequence where he had 2 straight sacks on plays. You know, how much growth have you seen from him and just the room in general since, you know, you got here last year and to see where it is now?
Oh, Byron specifically is just, that kid's a freak of nature. Like, you can see it on the kickoff when you see how fast he's running downfield, how he's not disturbed by anybody getting in his way. And y'all saw today, you know, with his sacks, the production he just had, that kid's, he's something special. And seeing him grow from last year, like he was a good player last year, but now it's just like, wow, Byron, like, it's a whole different thing. And then the rest of the room, you see, you know, the younger guys like Boots and everybody like that, the real young guys, watching them come up. You know, even though he got hurt today, you saw some of the things that he could do and some of the flashes of what he can be in the future. So it's just, I'm excited.
Next will be Kyle over here to your left on the floor.
Question for both of you, but Jared, I guess if you want to start, just you know, what do you guys take from today? Just a chance to another day to get better, as Coach likes to say, but to be able to do it in front of fans inside Doak. Just what do you both take from a showcase in a day like this?
Me personally, you know, I've tried to never take anything for granted, especially the fans, because coming from where I came from, you know, it wasn't that we didn't have this atmosphere every day for a spring game or anything like that. So walking in the stadium, you know, people shouting your name, people screaming at you, people wanting just to talk to you, have conversation with you. That's just the best part, you know, the fans, the culture here, something I'll never take for granted. I just love it, and just being in Doak, you know, it's like just another day. Like, we gotta get back at it. Every day we gotta get better. You saw the young guys; they got after it really well today. You know, I feel like I got better today, you know, with some of the reps I took. And it's just, every day we got to get better. Just simple as that.
Yeah, to piggyback off of what he said, I mean, every time we have an opportunity to go in Doak and play football is a blessing from the man upstairs. We're at Florida State University. I always talk about that. We're living a lot of people's dreams right now. We're living our own dreams. So you can't take it for granted. I told all the younger guys when you're out on the field today, look around and enjoy it. We're blessed. We're blessed. We get to go out here and play football and compete with each other, our own brothers, in front of our fans that support us through thick and thin. I mean, we've been so many ups and downs throughout our career, and they've always had our back. So, yes, sir.
All right, next will be Corey, top right.
Yeah, Jordan, how cool was it to see, we've all seen it in practice, but Vandravius make that play near the end, kind of showcasing what we've seen now for 6 weeks. How cool was that for you to see him have a moment like that? And I assume you think, okay, man, this kid's a true freshman, but he's going to be probably in the rotation next year and can make some really big plays for us, even though he's so young.
Yes, sir. He's a really special player. He makes big plays like that all the time. He's a young guy that just came in the first day, ready to work, a humble kid. I mean, he's looking up to a lot of guys like Johnny Wilson, guys that have had a lot of experience. But yeah, he's a really special player, and he reminds me a lot. I always talk about he reminds me of DJ Matthews a lot, just the way he moves and makes plays. But yeah, he's a really special player.
He's a really special player, huh? Hey, you say about 8 times. He's a really special player, huh?
Yeah, Obviously, the new jerseys were unveiled. What were your thoughts on those for both of you?
I love them. I love them.
You know, hey, I can finally give out the secret. Hey, I've been saw. Hey, I like them. They may be, you know, vow to secrecy. They are. I like them.
Jordan, on the other end of the spectrum, an older receiver that's really seemed to come on his own is Kentron. The consistency you've seen from him, and what's been the difference, you think, for him?
Oh, he's growing every day. He's coming with the right mindset to practice. He's treating every rep as a championship rep, like Coach Norvell talks about. That's another guy that doesn't speak a lot at all. He just comes and works. Yeah, he's really fire. I mean, having him out there now, and he's growing into himself and making crazy plays every single practice. It's not just the spring game, it's every practice. And he carries himself like really well, and he's a confident kid, a humble kid, and he's great.
Brendan on your left.
This is for both you guys. Coach Norvell talks about identity, a lot in identity of the team. I guess for you guys, what do you think the identity of this team is, having gone through tour duty and now spring practice?
I think it's intensity. You know, every day, I mean, you guys are here for the practices. Y'all see it's a whole different atmosphere. You know, how intense we get, the O-line, D-line battles, the battles between the linebackers and the running backs, the secondary and the wide receivers. I think we just bring intensity no matter where we go. You know, today we were on the field, we got after it. There was, like, some battles in the trenches that I could see at least that it's like, okay, like, you seeing people grow all over the place. I think our identity is just being intense, being our best, bringing what we can.
I would say the brotherhood is like what's really special here. I mean, you walk in the locker room and you have a smile on your face every single day. You see your teammates. I mean, I just saw the guys yesterday, and you walk in, you're happy to see them. Going out to practice is fun, like, especially when you have your brothers next to you. I mean, I talk about on spring break. I was gone for 6 days, and it felt like it was a year since I see my teammates. I couldn't wait to get back. Yeah, this team is really special, and the brotherhood is really cool.
I want to change my answer to that. Yeah, that was a solid one.
Kind of following up on that, Jared, you guys decided to come back, and you guys could have gone. Did you guys feel like you've accomplished this spring? I know you have another practice, but do you guys feel like you've accomplished what you set out to accomplish, and how much more do you guys have to accomplish before this season?
I think definitely, you know, from my personal aspect, before I speak about the team, was I got better. You know, one big reason I did come back was to get better. And it wasn't anything major. Like, I was trying to get faster and stronger, which I do want to do, but it was, you know, the smaller things, the things that, like, other people would see when they really focus up on the film. Not everyone's going to see. So that's something I really focus on. And just on the team aspect, I came back just to see us all get better as a whole team. And I mean, you guys just saw it. You know, on the offensive side, Tron went crazy today. Like, he had some crazy plays. I'm like, okay. And we had the young guys come in, like, making big plays. And I'm like, okay, like, this is what I came back for. And that's just on the offensive end. On the defensive end, we had some big plays made. Some of the young guys, some guys got switched positions, and they're making big plays. So I just came to see us all get better. And that's exactly what I saw. And I'm happy I came back. So happy.
Coach said it's vital for this team to play with an edge. That's kind of what gave you guys, you know, an advantage last year, playing a lot of games. But now things are different. People are telling you how good you are all the time. I guess first Jared and you, Jordan. What are you guys doing to maintain that edge? Have you been able to maintain that edge?
I'm just never trying to forget where I came from, because I've always had a chip on my shoulder. I've always been looked at as like, oh, he's not going to make it. He's not going to do nothing special. Don't expect too much of him. And I've tried to keep that mindset. You know, people congratulate you, tell you how good you are, how proud of them, like how proud they are of you. But I'm never going to let that get to my head. To me, I'm still that kid that only had the one offer, and I had to grind to make it here. So I'm still, in my mind, I'm still that. That's why I still talk as much as I do, because I'm still trying to, you know, keep that edge, keep my mentality going.
Yeah, I feel like my career has been like a roller coaster. Sophomore year, I got booed a little bit. I mean, I've been down in the dumps a lot. And I've came a long way, but I couldn't do it without the help of my teammates and my family. We just, like Jared said, we know where we came from. We had a losing season for 2-3 seasons straight, and wasn't the standard at Florida State. So we know where we came from. I mean, it all comes from the work in the off season. Coach Norvell pushes us really hard in the off season. So when you get to the game field, it's pretty easy.
All right, come to Jack here, front row.
You guys talk a lot about, the environment around here, practices, you mentioned being in the trenches, working hard, the younger guys really showing up. This spring showcase compared to, past years, and as you guys mentioned, going through it, leading up to it, does this feel, different compared to the past spring showcases / games?
I mean, I can only speak about the last one because I was the only one I was here for. But no, it definitely feels a whole lot different, just the impact. Everybody's like, oh, you ready for Saturday? I'm like, oh, yeah, like, it's just a scrimmage. But, like, yeah, of course I'm ready for it. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody's excited about it. Like, they're more excited than I am. And I'm like, I love being on the field. So, no, it's definitely a whole different feeling, just from the last year. What I experienced, it's like everybody's so much more into the team now, and everybody's so excited for not just today, but what's coming up this season.
I would say the same thing. I mean, it's very different. I mean, we're coming off of a winning season. We have a lot of confidence. Previous seasons, we weren't coming off of a winning season, so we didn't know where we were at. We know where we're at, and we can only go up from here. Just continue to work hard and deserve.
Okay. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
What's up with you?
We'll have contracts for.
Hey, Adam.
Hi, Chris.
I know you have one more practice to go, but in general, how pleased are you with the amount of takeaways that you guys have generated throughout the spring? I know that's been a point of focus for you.
We're getting better at it. I think, somehow, we got to continue to find ways in coverage to create some more vision so that we can get our hands on a few more underneath balls. But, I think the emphasis has been there, and I like what happened today. I mean, that was a really good play with DJ Lundy and Kalyn DeLoach on the ball carrier, getting it out with a scoop and score. And, the takeaways, I've said this before, are really critical because they get the ball back to our offense quick. But just the ball disruptions have really gone up. And, that's just getting your hands in throwing lanes, getting your hands up when the quarterback's throwing the football, just attacking the ball on the catch point with the wideouts. And we're tallying those things, and those numbers are really going up. So, we just got to keep at it and keep the summer training to keep working on those takeaway circuits.
Over to the left for Brendan.
Speaking of takeaways, Kalyn DeLoach had two of them today. I guess, what have you seen from him this spring? What areas has he improved on, and what can he be for you guys this season?
Yeah, Kalyn's played a good amount of football. I thought, his improvement from last scrimmage to this one was impactful. I didn't think he was his best. I've got really high expectations for Kalyn. He's played some really important football, and I think he's got a lot of leadership capabilities to him too. And he's constantly building his body to get it bigger and stronger. But it was great to see him have that impact. I mean, those are two game-changing plays. I mean, he may have had 2 defensive touchdowns today, and so that's huge for him. But I think he has that in him. I think he has that in him to be that way week in and week out. And I think the next several months and it is important for him to build that portfolio because I do trust him and I do believe in him.
Come down to Essen, front row, over here on the left.
I think we've talked about Byron Turner a couple times already. You know, the spring he's had, but he had a sequence where he had back-to-back sacks and stalled the drive, forced a 3rd and long, then got a sack on 3rd down. How much improvement have you seen from him this spring?
You know, Byron has made strides. We've invested a lot of reps in Byron. And, you know, I think we saw some of that impact today. You know, just through 14 practices, we can trust that he's going to do his job and be in the right position. It's just his pad level and just the fundamentals and being consistent with it for him to be a really good player. He's really physical. He's probably behind Jared, probably the fastest defensive line we have, just straight line, besides Jared. But, you know, I just think his consistency with the fundamentals, because he just kind of plays through contact and, you know, he's a ball of knives. He runs through people, but, you know, at times he gets pushed out of the way or he gets run by the quarterback and, you know, things that we can still really clean up with him. But I got to remind myself, like, he still is a redshirt freshman. And, you know, we've had some good young players play good early, you know, and I don't want to say he's ahead of schedule or behind a schedule. He's just on Byron's schedule. And, you know, I think there's more in him. But it was good to see him have some success today. And, you know, that's a spot that, you know, we've obviously had some impact players. I think Byron can be a good piece to us, you know, this fall, and I'm looking forward to seeing the gains he makes in the future.
Next will be Ira in the middle.
Just going to want to follow back up on what you were saying about Kalyn. The sense I'm getting maybe is like maybe he doesn't realize how dominant he could be. Is that accurate, or is it just he hasn't been in that position?
You know, Ira, I think, you know, we live in a program where each day we try to tell them what they do well and what they need to improve. And, you know, today was the most important practice we have because it was today. And I know Mike said this numerous times to everybody out there, but that's how you get better. And so I don't want to say, you know, I think Kalyn does have high expectations for himself. I think he thinks he could be one of the better linebackers in the country. I trust what I know, and I trust what I've been through with Kalyn. And I just know from a consistency standpoint, if he plays at his optimum, he can be a big-time playmaker for us next fall. And, you know, I think that can be from week 1 all the way to whatever the last game happens to be. And, you know, I just want to see him maximize each day. And not just Kalyn, but, you know, there were times this spring that we weren't our best all the time, and we're constantly striving to get to that point. And, you know, I think we've seen Kalyn make some really splash plays, and it's easy to talk about him right now because he just maybe scored 2 defensive touchdowns. So he happens to be the topic. But from where he's been to where he is now has been great growth. I just think there's more. And I think he knows that too. And I can't wait to see what that looks like.
Coach, I know you're focused on the guys that you're able to coach that are on the field with you, but are you able to at all kind of project to what you guys will look like when you have the full allotment of the talent that you've kind of seen at practice throughout the spring and the guys that you did bring in but weren't able to coach this spring?
Yes. Yes. Oh, well, I don't know. I'm kind of projecting it, but I do, you know, because the recruitment's still a recruitment. And, like, you can't be the coach that, well, I'm going to recruit these guys. Well, he's kind of hurt, so I don't know what it's going to look like. That's awful. Like, it's your job to know what it's going to look like. Now, it can change because your evaluation can be wrong. They could get here and change direction. So you got to kind of be open-minded to that. But, you know, when we signed this class and we brought them into this current group, we knew what it would look like from a structure and how we could use different pieces. Now, the great question would be, if we had them all, would we be doing everything that we could be doing for the fall? And that would be yes. You know, we couldn't do all the different maybe personnel packages or get as much of the dime look stuff with some of the DBs because there's been guys down. That's part of dealing with the spring. But we could get some of that stuff done in drill work. You know, there were times that we were playing with 6 DBs in some perimeter drills or some 7-on-7 drills or some half-line skelly drills. During pods, we played some of the defensive ends inside to run some of the games. You know, we played some of the defensive tackles outside in different fronts. But we just haven't been able to do everything we want because of some of the guys that weren't available, but definitely know what it's going to be.
Come to Kurt, front row.
We saw Quindarius show up again today, make some flash plays. That's really been a lot of what we've seen this spring. How impressive have you been with him coming in and kind of being an instant playmaker pretty consistently?
Very impressed. He, had a really good winter program. For somebody to graduate high school and show up in what we demand in December, it takes a really special young man. And I think Quinn did a really good job. He had a really good tour of duty. His winter sessions were excellent. They really were. He kind of stayed the course and was very consistent. And then we got out there in practice 1, and he looked like a freshman. In practice 2, he still looked like a freshman. By practice 3 to 4, I remember grabbing Coach Sartan. I said, he's really taken the coaching already. And by 5 to now, I'm comfortable with him when the ball's thrown at him. Now it's about just getting him when the ball isn't thrown at him and he's involved in the blitz game, in the run fit, in the pass fit, just making sure that we can count on him being where he needs to be with the right leverage. And that's not Quinn's fault. That's just reps and practice and time and investment. But for me to sit here and say when the ball's thrown at him, I have a lot of confidence in Quindarius, that's really good praise because that's a young man that's really taken to the program the last couple months and really like what Pat's done with him. And it's a credit to him and his work ethic, Quindarius.
Last time we talked to you after the second scrimmage, paraphrase, but you mentioned a sense of urgency being needed for some of the safeties. Since that moment to now, what have you seen from them? How have they responded from that second scrimmage?
Yeah, better. It was good to get Duke back involved. He was down for a little bit there. It's good to get Akeem and Shaheem involved. I feel really confident in the skill set of the group. It's my job to make sure that they're playing to their abilities. And, I think today was, a good showing by them. If we do what we should do up front, then maybe all the production isn't there. Do we use them like we're going to use them against LSU? Probably not. Maybe in some categories, but, they just, I think they were good today. I thought our communication was better in the red zone when we started out practice. I think that first group went 3 and out, so that was a good start. First series when we got some of the other guys in there, I thought, I like that group. I think we've got the right people there. It'd be good to get some of these guys back to be able to add some depth into that group, but I like the top of the group.
If you could talk a little bit about the young linebackers, Omar, obviously, you've talked about him some this spring, but then also DeMarco and how he's come on as another true freshman.
Yeah, I thought DeMarco has really played really well throughout spring. I thought today probably wasn't his best day. He looked a little bit slow in reactions today. But take away today's performance, and I do think, it's hard to say, wow, that looks like a freshman. And at linebacker and safety, that is so difficult not to look like a freshman because you're in the middle of it. And so things come at you from both ways. Coach Fuller, Coach Shannon, Coach Sartan are telling you, hey, look at this guy. And then Coach Norvell's lining up in this formation. They're doing this. And, all of a sudden, well, yeah, you got to do that. But on this, you have to do this. And so the kids, their wheels just keep turning. And he has not been that way. I mean, he's been very composed. He's been very assignment sound. He's looked like he's shown good quickness in short areas. So I've been really pleased that, you can go into a summer and you're not on day one with him. And I just think the speed of the game, he's got to pick that up, and that's going to come with some reps.
Veteran guys like Renardo and Dennis, they've been here since day one when you guys have gotten here, and they've moved around some positions, and now they've kind of found homes. And how reliable are those two guys for you? And if you could maybe just kind of expound on each of those guys individually, just how good can Renardo be for you guys, and how important is Dennis going to be for your guys' rotation up front?
Just to take you through it, when I got here, I watched Renardo. He had played some corner. I went back and watched his high school film. There was some film of his freshman year here. We made the decision to move him to safety based off what we had in the program at that point. He gave us some good reps, and then, he had some up and down moments of injuries and trying to come back from it. And, I think one of the better decisions we did as a program was putting him at corner. And, he could have played safety. He can play nickel. He's got all the skills to play a lot of different spots, but we made that decision. And he had a really good year, and I think now he's going to year 2 of playing the same position, getting the same reps, and that comes with confidence. And so, I think Renardo's one of our strongest competitors. I think he's a really good one-on-one player. He's a really good tackler for a corner. And overall, he's somebody that's really worked hard and earned the trust of his teammates and his coaching staff. And, he plays the game the right way. He plays hard. He's a physical, good one-on-one defender. He's become a really good team player. And I think our players believe in him. Dennis, taking it all the way back, he was the one in the COVID year. All of a sudden, he came back in that North Carolina game and played after practicing 3 times. It's been a, look back to all those years and everything that's had to transpire for him. And then he was playing really good football. Then he got hurt, missed most of the year. Last year did what was best for the team, and we moved him out, moved him a little bit back inside, and that was probably his best football. And, I thought the bowl game was one of his best games since he's been here. So, just looking forward to getting some consistency with him, and just looking forward to what the impact will be.
All right, thanks, Adam.
Thanks, guys.
All right, we have Coach Garnet.
I'm sorry. Yo, that's wild, son. Like, that's for real. Like, I can't even see y'all. Like, all right, go ahead.
Obviously, you've seen a lot of the veterans play in that stadium before on a big, huge stages. But what did you see from some of the younger guys? I mean, obviously Brock and the young receivers, but you have a young lineman too. What did you see out of the younger guys?
Yeah, I mean, the main thing we want to see is growth, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for growth from practice 1 to practice 14. And what I saw was guys, starting to understand situation, in a small thing, like even with the O-line, from understanding the down and distance of the stance they're in, from Brock understanding what he can and can't do. I saw him take some check downs to get some first downs, which is good, understanding the situations. We also had some things that we got to work on, but all those young guys, what we're looking for is just growth in being a ball player, picking up the offense, and understanding how to operate in situations. That's the main thing. But what I saw some quarterbacks taking a check down, which is big. I saw receivers getting to the sticks and getting first downs. We still had a couple of deals with like knowing when to throw it away, knowing when we got to, kind of tuck tail and just take it is for it is and not take big losses and things like that, whether a guy bust or we didn't get a check and things like that. So you just can't create those situations until they're in them. So as much as we can keep doing that in progress, but I like the progress because, the first scrimmage, we had a lot of TFLs and things that we didn't have to have. I saw us advance to ball, and every drive wasn't a touchdown and things like that, but I saw us advance to ball and get out of some tough situations, which I was proud of that.
Yeah, piggyback on that, you mentioned, you get one more practice. That's not a lot of programs where they have a spring game showcase and then have a practice after. So what kind of opportunity is that for you guys to grow and teach and, go into the offseason this summer and be able to be ready for that after this?
Yeah, it's practice 14 in reality. So we wanted to get that in and still have a practice of correction. So now we can go back, get it corrected, and one more time and go correct some things, which is the goal, is just, like we said, growth. So, we did the same thing. That's kind of how we've operated here. We always have that practice after, and I think it's good because now you go back, review the film, grade it, have a meeting, and then go out there and correct things that you saw from the spring game. Or most of the time, you kind of just is what it is. You get the meetings and you kind of roll. But I like having that practice to go back, watch it, and evaluate the tape just like you would at a game, and then go out there and get to correct, make some more corrections.
Next will be Brendan, second row to your left.
You spoke highly about Kentron Poitier earlier this spring, and he has a really good day again today. I guess what have you seen from him throughout the entire spring? How big has it been that he's been so consistent through 14 practices now?
What you see, the confidence from the quarterbacks trusting him. So if he gets run coverage, they're going to him because that's how much belief he's given those guys. When you know you're doing a good job is when it's a critical situation and the QB looks for you. You know, when you're getting that man coverage, that single coverage, and now the quarterback got to make a decision, and he's going to draw. So, you know, to have that confidence in him shows where he's at right now, and he makes the plays. You know, so it's one thing to go to a guy if he's not making the plays, but Tron is making the plays. So, you know, I don't want to, you know, we've seen this all spring, though. You know, I think we've had multiple times with multiple offensive coaches that brought up his name, you know, and we talk about that true development, that position, man, from a guy that got in here and had to fight through, whether it be, you know, being behind on the depth chart, you know, other new guys coming in. He just kept fighting, and he's going to get to showcase what he can do and showcase his talent.
Next will be Logan, one row up.
What have you seen from C.J. Campbell this spring, now going into also the spring showcase? What have you seen him being a really high competitor, it seemed like, throughout this camp?
Yeah, C.J., you know, he always had a chip on his shoulder. You know, anytime you get a walk-on guy that comes into Florida State, he always going to have something about him that he know he got to climb up to the top. And to see his, like, to go through what he went through last year with the injury and bounce back, the good thing about it is when you see him have success, you see the team respond. And that's when you know that they're riding for him and they know what he's been through. And also, CJ is instrumental on so many things, whether it be recruiting, whether it be, you know, just positive morale, all that, man. He's done a phenomenal football job. But so to see him run hard and have that toughness is in his DNA because, I mean, you walk on and go to a guy that's getting carries with the one group. I mean, think about that struggle and that time. So I like what, you know, I like what CJ brings. I got like, I'm tearing up from this damn thing. Like, holy, go ahead.
Hey, Coach. I just wanted to ask you about the veteran leadership on this team, especially on this offense. You guys have brought in a lot of new young players, guys who could be contributors for you coming up. Just, you know, guys like Jordan, guys like, you know, Johnny, Trey, guys who have been here for a year now. How have you seen them rubbing off on these younger guys who are coming in and trying to make a name for themselves?
Yeah, veteran leadership shows in uncomfortable conversations because there's a lot of pride and ego out there with the type of recruits we brought in, the level they are, and the guys we brought in with the older guys. So when you see an older guy make a correction to a young guy, that young guy's response tells us where the relationship is. That's the reality of it. Like, if that guy snaps back at him, that means they haven't developed a relationship. The first key to leadership is relationship, because now you know the person that's getting on you shows that they have a relationship with them. You understand what I'm saying? So what I like about it is when you see our older guys, whether it be Maurice Smith getting on Julian Armella, whether it be you know, Jordan getting on a receiver on a route or making the wrong deal, when you see a Tron getting on Deuce, when you see these things and there's no argument or bittering or back and forth on the sideline, and you have a little bit of confrontation because we're all in the moment, but when you see that, then you know their relationship off the field is glowing on the field, because when a player corrects a player in an uncomfortable situation, emotional situation, and they see that player's face, there's a respect level of eyes. Like, I know if he's saying it really means something to him. So we got to continue to build that. That's going to take some time. We got some new guys here, and we also got to get some guys some confidence to lead. Like, you know, I'm like with Jaheim Bell. You know, he's come in and just went to work. So he's earning that respect, and you see him, you know, maybe not being a feature, but he's just like he's buying into it, so he'll continue to earn that respect, and he can be a leadership role, you know, because I like the way he goes about his business. So, you know, just having that real relationship off the field has been a benefit for us.
You mentioned 14 practices now to mix and match and evaluate what you have on the offensive line. How do things change now with the amount of data you've had looking at these guys over 14 practices as a talent evaluator, as a team builder? How do things change for you once the offseason hits and trying to configure these 5 guys to get them best fit?
Oh, yeah, man. It's not difficult at all because, number one, the room makes those selections. Like, we know who's taking care of business. You know, we know who is putting in the work consistently and daily. So I think, you know, the first thing is we had a couple of new guys coming in. We got some guys that's going through their first off season. Like Julian, this is his first off season. Sapp, this is his first off season. Jalen Early, this is his first off season. Then you add JB, KJ, and all these other guys, and Casey. Like, this is the first time going through the offense. So what we're building here is the identity of what we want to be, knowing who we are, how we work, picking up the offense, and then we'll start figuring out that 5 based upon the information that we've collected of what we saw consistently day in and day out. But, I mean, it's a good problem to have because we got a lot of guys that play a lot of snaps, but also, you know, those snaps are in the past. You know, now is what you're doing here lately. And that's what I love about, you know, coaching this position is all that stuff goes away. You know, those snaps gain experience, but, you know, it's about what you did today. And that's what's going to make the determining factor. So you still got to bring it every day and still continue to prove, or you can get lapped too. So it's fun to create the competition, but I think the continuity is starting to show up as we go back and watch it and see who's making the less mistakes, who's in position, and things like that. And it'll start to clear up once we get probably about that third week of camp.
With all the guys you guys had coming back this season, all the veterans who played a lot, and Coach talked earlier about wanting they need to have that same edge that they had last year. Now that everybody's talking about them, what have you seen now that you've been through, you know, several months since the end of last season in the spring in terms of like those older guys, not just being back, but really trying to go to another level?
Yeah, they don't have a choice, really. I mean, Coach creates an environment of improvement. You know, even looking at this room, you know, we have our goal boards up and things like that. Like, it's just they have no choice. I remember leaving the second scrimmage, he challenged the coaches on just making sure our older guys are taking that next step. You know, that's what he was looking for in particular, to make sure they were straining it to get that 1% better. So when the coach creates that, it gives you a chance to set the examples for the other guys. Like, man, look how he's coaching Jordan, look how he's coaching Johnny, look how he's coaching Trey. Like, I better be on top of my game, because if he's coaching him like that, then nigga, I ain't even had a carry yet in the game. So, you know, it creates that environment of improvement. So, and also, like, we go back to the first question of leadership. If we don't have that from in the locker room and that push and that desire, and it's got to be coach-led, we're going to have a lot more problems than we bargained for anyway. So we got to, like, we've done a good job of establishing a culture of improvement and accountability. So we just got to make sure we're taking that next step to keep bleeding in ears as we keep adding people to the roster.
Today felt like, as big examples we've seen, just the depth y'all have kind of gradually built, really on both sides of the ball. But you can talk about the offense, the offensive line, and the offense as a whole. Just what's that do? I mean, having that level of functional depth, and I mean, kind of reaping the rewards of those years of work now.
Yeah, man, I tell my guys one of the best D-lines you're going to face, man, in the country is the one we see every day. So, you know, if you can go out there and compete with those guys and keep getting them better, and then they tell us, you know, I was on the sideline with Jared, he's like, boy, them boys getting better. Because, you know, he was out there with that first game. He's like, man, them dudes made it a little difficult out here. So I think that we're creating that competition with building our fronts. And if you watch us play ball, man, we're gonna play through the fronts. You know, we're not an edge team, you know, of culture and how we play physical. So, you know, if you come back to practice and watch the drills, we do a lot of half line. You know, we do a lot of one-on-ones. We do a lot of, you know, toughness type drills, and it's starting to pay off. And it's also clean drills, where we still got guys, you know, going in the spring, that started in the spring, they're still going now. Because that's the thing, you see a lot of these spring practices, guys out and things like that. I thought we've done a good job of attacking each other and getting that toughness, but still keeping each other off the ground, staying up and playing fast. So we're learning how to take care of each other too and not take cheap shots. So, you know, it's just good. It's going the way it should be going when you're going into this year forward. We just got to make sure we keep that daily growth and that mind focus of what it's got to be moving forward with daily growth. And that's got to be the mentality. If we don't, it'll show up. You know, those flaws and those skeletons will come out if we're not attacking it that way.
As a coaching staff, you guys always talk about the response, but how great was it to see Brooklyn, after the first couple series didn't go his way, to come back on that final, one of the final series and get that score? How big was it for the freshmen to do that?
I mean, and we got to show that confidence in the package that we're sending in to them. Like, hey, just because you did that, we're not gonna go out here and run, ISO 6 plays in a row. Like, we still believe in you. You know, a couple of balls sailed on him. He had some guys, but to come out there and attack it again and go down and have a touchdown drive, that just shows who he is and what he's about. And that response we're talking about. Even like with Rodney, he had one he put on the ground on the 4th down, and I said, man, you got to come back. And he came in with some tough runs there toward the end with great ball security. So that's what the practice is. Like, man, learning from those mistakes and creating those environments of response. And like Coach always says, we going to respond. Now, we want to swing first. We don't want to be 2-minute responses. But when bad stuff happens, we got to make sure we have the mindset to keep swinging and keep going, because that's what you got to have when you get in those close games, man. And, you got to keep swinging.
Last one will be Chris, front row to your right.
After 14 practices, how do you feel about the quarterback 2 competition, how those guys have elevated that of returnees, and how Brock handled his
It's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be fun to watch because we got some guys in that room that have some good talent and starting to pick it up, and I saw some flashes out there. So, you know, we're going to really see those competitive juices start to come out and start to flow and showing up in moments where it needs to show up, you know. So, you know, I think we got guys that's going to embrace it and go get it, you know. So I'm can't wait to see the growth from when they get this film to what they do the next practice and moving forward throughout the summer of what because they know what it is now, they know what it got to be. So I'm excited to watch it.
All right, thanks, Coach.
No problem.